Welcome everybody to the channel and welcome to Banter in the Box, episode 20, game week 15 review. 20 episodes of Banter in the Box already this season. It must be a record. We have got the normal league table highlights, which does feature a question of the week. I don't think we've had one of those yet this season. I've got quotes of the week. Notice the plural there, not one but three quotes, and they are corkers. Then we're going to get a bit serious. We are in the midst of a pandemic. I'm going to take you through Whitty's guide to surviving lockdown. Some important things for you to note there. And I'm going to give you the manager of the season update. So here's the league table. Game week 15 at the bottom, Nicola Zanelka. After a few good weeks recently, pretty respectable scores, she was the lowest scorer this week. The wheels fell off, just 2 points for Nicola Irving, which ensured that she spent an 11th consecutive week at the bottom of the table. In 26th and 27th place, no happy endings, and Dustbin Dynamos swapped places for a 6th consecutive week as Di and John enjoy their dancing in the battle to finish 26th. And debut manager AFC Razor continued to make up the relegation zone, although he did close the gap on the safety of 24th place to just 6 points, because Ryan Perrin's Pez United had a nightmare themselves, only scoring 7 points this week. Ryan getting dragged into that relegation dogfight. Elsewhere, up in 17th place, Lyndon's Lovelies were the biggest fallers this week. They dropped 2 places. That's a season low for Jo. First time she's been that low this season. And in 15th place, Appleys United dropped into the relegation zone, their lowest position since game week 7, and since then they've been 14th, just inside the top half of the table, but they finally slipped back into the bottom half of the table. And the reason why so many of those teams that you can see there dropped a place was because in the top half of the table, Napoli manager Lee Porter played a tactical masterstroke this season, which prompted the question of the week. Sashamas FC manager Wayne Robinson emailed me to say, Napoli up 8 places, 168 points this month, question mark. Not a particularly well articulated question, but I knew what he meant. How had Lee achieved this? Well, I will explain it. The answer is at all of your fingertips in the form of the FFFL rules that were sent to you all at the start of the season and you were urged to read. And I have talked about these in previous Banter in the Box episodes this season. But we have something this season called a tactical gambit. They were available to some people last season who won them in the raffle. This season we brought them into the rules proper so they were available to everyone. They are detailed in the rules. They're also detailed on the weekly updates that go out. There's a tactical gambit tab where you can see all of them. But Lee Poulter, who's spent the whole season, well, actually not the whole season, but most of the season in the bottom half of the table, and has therefore been picking up the end of the month bonuses to his transfer budget. Lee was in a position going into the new year where he had a transfer budget of £100 million. And this week he spent £5 million on an Oy's Mind tactical gambit, which other people have played this season. That allowed him to transfer in a player that somebody else already had. But the first time this has happened, he doubled that tactical gambit up with the Benefit Fraudster tactical gambit. First manager to play Benefit Fraudster tactical gambit this season. You can only, actually he's the first manager to play a Benefit Fraudster tactical gambit ever, because the managers that had that luxury last season didn't use it. Actually, that's a lie. My mum did use it when she got it last season, but Megan Hoxby didn't use her one. So anyway, he's the first manager to play the Benefit fraudster tactical gambit this season cost him £10 million of his transfer budget, but that allowed him to accumulate the points that the player that he transferred in had already scored this season. You'll know, usually when you transfer a player in, you don't get the points they've already scored, they just start scoring for you from that point. But if you can afford to play the Benefit Fraudster Tactical Gambit, costs £10 million, you can only play if you're outside the top 10, then the player that you transfer in, you get the points that they've already scored. So that is why Lee Poulter jumped a massive 8 places this week into the top half of the table and puts him in prime position for the January Manager of the Month. Well done, Mr. Poulter. Elsewhere in the top half of the table, down 1 place to 10th, Thames Ironworks FC. That's the lowest Darren has been since game week 10, and that's because up 1 place into 9th, Coldplay United. Martin Maloney continuing to have an amazing season. This is a guy that in his debut season last season spent the entire season battling in the relegation zone. Never got out of the relegation zone as far as I can remember. Spent a good chunk of the season bottom of the table, but he's having an incredible season this season. He got his first weekly win of the season. I had to check, incredible. I thought it was his first ever weekly win, but incredibly he did actually get a weekly win last season despite spending all of it in the relegation zone. But that's his first weekly win this season with 65 points, and that's the highest that Martin has been since game week 6. So he's hanging on in there. But top of the tree, Grease Lightning, a 15th consecutive week at the top, though again, second place Arden Diamonds did eat away his lead again this week. It's now down to 121 points. I think he's got it. Alexi thinks he's got it. More on that later. But it isn't too late for all of us. We've just got to keep trying, guys. Now, quotes of the week. There's 3 of them. The first one is from, as I was just talking about him, Grease Lightning manager Alexi Lagos, who was telling me how confident he is that he's already got the championship sewn up. And he said to me that he's going to use his winnings from this season to start a family fantasy football league so that he can teach others how to be a family fantasy football league master. Is that arrogance? Is that confidence? Well, you decide. But that was one of the quotes of the week this week. And that's one manager of the season point for Alexi Lagos. The next quote of the week comes from the Mad Hatter himself, the Creed Bratton Society's manager, Jordan Williams, who celebrated his birthday this week. Happy 34th birthday, Jordan. He's got one of those faces. In some of his photos he looks about 45. Some of them he looks about 21. He's 34. As far as I'm concerned, doesn't look a day over 37. Jordan sent a text message to Megan Hoxley Chamberlain, Megan Hoxby, after she wished him happy birthday. And he said to Megan, "I see you're snapping at my heels in the league table. Genuinely hope you finish in a money spot. All the more accusations that Alexi is running a second team under the guise of your name. But hey ho, he's not letting it lie. I thought we'd dealt with this earlier in the season. We had an investigation. There was no case to be answered in terms of Alexi running a second team. Megan is running her own team. Yes, she's having an uncharacteristically good season. But Jordan Williams, the Mad Hatter, continuing to cast doubt on whether that is truly Megan's team. Maybe we'll have to launch another investigation. Something's got to give though. And the last quote of the week comes from I've Got a Life manager, Mox Hoxby. And this is a little bit of an insight into how difficult it is being an FFFL chairman and trying to deal with all the transfers, especially this season where there's been so much transfer activity every week. Another 3 managers making transfers this week. One of those managers who made a transfer was I've Got a Life manager, Mox Hoxby. And this was her instruction when she said she wanted to make a transfer. Can I take out Chowdhury from Leicester? Sorry, can I take Chowdhury from Leicester out and have Criminal in? Both midfielders, and I think I have another 12 to spend. Let me know if this is good. Now, that's written exactly as the text message was sent. The reason there's no punctuation in there is because Mops doesn't do punctuation. And I had to try and work out who the hell Criminal was. So, a bonus manager of the season question point. Actually, that's stupid. I've just realised that no point setting that as a question because a team is available to you all, so it'd be easy for you to work out who she transferred in. What she mentioned, so I was going to do a bonus manager of the season question, then I just realised that was pointless because you'd all easily get a point. So it isn't a bonus manager of the season question, ignore that. But who she meant by Criminal, believe it or not, was Scott McTominay of Manchester United. Lord knows how she got Criminal from Scott McTominay, but I thought it was worth a quote of the week, so well done, Mops. Now we need to get a bit serious for Whitty's Guide to Surviving Lockdown. Not Chris Whitty, but Joe Whitty's Guide to Surviving Lockdown. Those of you that know Joe well will know that she is a COVID rules and guidance Jedi Master. That is why she's become affectionately known amongst her friends as Joe Whitty. She keeps us all honest. There she is doing one of her updates with Boris. And Joe has decided to provide the means for us all to stay extra safe during this lockdown, because obviously even though you're in lockdown you still have to go out and shop for essential goods, and obviously you need to wear your mask, wash your hands, try and maintain space, etc. But when you're in the supermarket, you do slightly heighten your risk of contracting this particular strain of COVID-19, which is, as you all know, very transferable. So Joe decided to limit the number of times that we would need to go shopping, and this is something that she wanted me to share with all of you, because it's something you can all do. Inspired by Ben Fogle, Jo has taken to foraging so that she can produce her own sustenance for us all. I have decided not to take part just yet, but Jo has started making stinging nettle tea. This is serious. I'm not making this up. Stinging nettle tea. You just pick your stinging nettles, boil them up, and drink it basically. And rosehip cordial, which sounds very refreshing. Rosehip berries are available pretty much everywhere while you're out on the walks. You'll dare say see rosehip berries growing wild, and if you pick them and I guess boil them up, then you can make a delicious rosehip cordial. Now, as I say, I haven't partaken yet, but Never the Boys manager Jack Hoxby has partaken in some rosehip cordial. This is him pictured just after he downed his first glass, perhaps downing the glass of rosehip cordial for the first time wasn't a good idea, Jack, but I'm reliably informed that picture doesn't do it justice. And as for the stinging nettle tea, well, Jack tried some stinging nettle tea. Jo did add a touch of honey to take the edge off, I suppose, but that didn't go down very well either. There's Jack pictured there after the stinging nettle tea. But hey, it's we all have to do what we can during this pandemic. So give it a try. I'm sure if you want to reach out to Jo, she'll give you the recipe for stinging nettle tea and rosehip cordial. I say recipe, isn't much of one, but if you want some tips on how to make it, I'm sure she would happily share it. Now, last week's Who the Fuck Is That question was a 2-point answer. You had to tell me which 2 Family Fantasy Football League managers were pictured there in order to get the 2 points. And as we said every week, each manager is permitted 1 guess per week. Bow your head in shame, Benny United manager Mark Benwell. So desperate to retain his manager of the season tag, he had not 1, not 2, but 3 guesses this week. And the only reason I allowed it is because every single one of them was wrong. First of all, Mark thought that that was a picture of Ryan Perrin and Sophie Hoxby. The problem with that, Mark, is the question was which 2 current Family Fantasy Football League managers are pictured there, and Sophie is not a current Family Fantasy Football League manager. She's a former Family Fantasy Football League manager. It couldn't possibly have been her anyway, but that is not a picture of Ryan and Sophie. Looking at it, I don't know why you thought it would be either one of those 2, but hey ho. His second illegal guess was that it was a picture of it was a picture of Lyndon's Lovely's manager Joe Hoxby and Thames Ironworks FC manager Darren Ravel. That was also an incorrect answer. And then finally, in his final illegal attempt, he went for the guess of Lyndon's Lovely's manager Joe Hoxby and Never the Boys manager Jack Hoxby. All of those guesses were wrong, and I would have rejected the second 2 guesses anyway, because you're only allowed 1 guess per week. But the correct answer was received by the current manager of the season leader, Hatch United manager Neil Hatch, who's desperate to take the manager of the season title from his brother. Neil correctly guessed that it was a picture of the Big Knobs manager Simon Hoxby and Chairman's Choice manager yours truly. So well done, Neil. 2 manager of the season points go to you, buddy. And that means, with all of those quotes of the weeks and Neil's guess for the Who the Fuck Is That question, that is the current manager of the season table. Mops Hoxby climbs up to joint 10th on 3 points. The Mad Hatter climbs up to joint 8th on 5 points. And Alexi Lagos climbs up to joint 5th on 6 points. But Neil Hatch now has a 4-point lead at the top of the manager of the season table. Looking good, Neil, although there's still a long way to go. Many manager of the season points to pick up. And of course, those of you that took part in the Predictor Challenge at the start of the season, there's 25 points available to you, to those of you that had a go at that at the start of the season. This week's Who the Fuck Is That is another 2-pointer. There are 2, believe it or not, there are 2 current Family Fantasy Football League managers pictured in that photo. You get 2 points if you get both managers correct. And remember, Mark Benwell, 1 guess per week. So if you can tell me which 2 current Family Fantasy Football League managers are pictured there, you will get 2 manager of the season points. That's it for this week, guys. Slightly longer banter in the box this week because there's been so much good banter going on. I needed to share it. I hope you have had a happy new year so far, and I will see you next week for episode 21 of Banter in the Box. Until then, take care.